There are people who cannot look into someone's eyes, not because they're shy, not because they're awkward, but because when another person's eyes lock onto theirs, something in their brain fires like an alarm, their chest tightens, their skin goes cold, and every instinct they have screams, "Look away, now." And the wild part, their brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It just decided that human eyes are a threat. This is called ommetaphobia, the fear of eyes. And most people have never heard of it. You might have clicked on this video because you get a little uncomfortable when someone holds eye contact too long, or maybe you know someone who genuinely can't do it at all, or maybe you just thought, wait, that's actually a thing. It is. And here's what's interesting. Most people assume this is just a confidence issue. If they just push through the anxiety, it would go away. But psychologists who have studied this thing have found something much stranger going on underneath. Because this isn't really about shyness, it's about what your brain learned eyes mean. And once you understand that, the whole thing looks completely different. So here's where it starts, and I want you to picture something. You're sitting across from someone, a stranger, and they're staring directly at you. Not blinking, just staring. How does that feel? Most people feel something shift, a little bit of discomfort, a pull to look away. And that's not a you thing, that's a human thing, because here's what your brain is actually doing in that moment. There are cells in your brain, actual specialized neurons, whose only job is to detect when something is looking directly at you. Scientists call them eye direction detector cells. And they're incredibly fast, faster than conscious thought. In a fraction of a second, your brain has already decided, is this safe or is this a threat? Now, for most people, that system runs quietly in the background. They feel a little tension, they hold eye contact for a moment, their brain gets the safe signal, and life moves on. But for people with ommetaphobia, that system doesn't settle. It stays stuck on threat every time. And the reason it gets stuck there is one of the most fascinating things in all of psychology, because it's not about the eyes themselves. It's about what the brain attached to them. Think about where eyes show up in your life when things go wrong. The parent who stares you down right before they lose their temper. The teacher who locks eyes with you in a classroom full of people when you're about to get in trouble. The bully who holds your gaze just long enough to make sure you know what's coming. For a lot of people who develop a real fear of eyes, there's something in the history. An experience, or more often a pattern of experiences, where someone's direct gaze was the signal that something bad was about to happen. And here's the thing about how memory works. Your brain doesn't store experiences like a filing cabinet. It stores them like a survival manual. When something happens that feels dangerous, your brain doesn't just record it. It builds a rule. Eyes danger, hold that. Psychologists call this a conditioned fear response. And once it's wired in, it doesn't ask for your permission, it just fires. But here's what makes this even more interesting. You don't need a dramatic trauma for this to happen. Research on fear conditioning shows that even subtle repeated signals can train the brain over time. The quiet household where a parent's gaze was unpredictable. The social environment where eye contact felt like a challenge or a judgment. The years of being told don't stare, look down, be small. For some people, the fear of eyes isn't dramatic. It built slowly, like water carving through rock, and one day they noticed they couldn't do something most people don't even think about. Now, here's where it gets really personal, because the fear of eyes doesn't just affect the moment of eye contact, it ripples out into everything. Think about what you need eye contact for: job interviews, first dates, talking to your kids, listening to a friend who's going through something hard, standing your ground in a difficult conversation. Eye contact is the thing that tells another person, I'm here, I see you, I mean what I'm saying. And when your brain has decided that making that connection is dangerous, you start to build your whole life around avoiding it. You look slightly to the left in conversations. You develop this skill of almost looking at someone without actually looking at them. You get really good at reading the room from your peripheral vision. And the cruel part is other people notice. They can't always name what's off, but they feel it. They feel like you're not quite present, or that you're hiding something, or that you don't care. And the person with the fear of eyes feels all of that too. They're not checked out. They're actually incredibly tuned in to the social signals around them. They have to be, because they can't use the most direct channel. So they overcompensate everywhere else. They read body language. They listen closely to tone. They pick up on things other people miss entirely. Which is actually one of the most interesting things about this. People who struggle with this often develop an almost heightened sensitivity to other people's emotions, because when the most direct form of connection is closed off, you find other ways to understand what someone means. And this is the part that I think most people don't expect when they click on a video about the fear of eyes, because this isn't just about the people who have it. It's about what this particular fear reveals about something all of us carry. Eyes are the only part of the body where you can see all the way in. You can read someone's face, you can hear their tone of voice, but when you look into someone's eyes, there's this feeling, and neuroscientists have actually studied this, that you are making direct contact with another person's interior world. That's why eye contact feels so different from other forms of connection. It bypasses the performance. It cuts through whatever version of themselves someone is trying to project, and that is terrifying for a lot of people, not just the ones with ommetaphobia, just people. Because to really look at someone and let them really look back at you, that requires a kind of trust that doesn't come naturally when you've learned that the world isn't always safe. When the people who were supposed to be safe weren't always. When vulnerability, in your experience, had a price, the fear of eyes at its core is often the fear of being truly seen. And if you sit with that for a second, that's not pathology. That's one of the most human things that exists. So here's what we've got. Eyes trigger a threat response in the brain that's faster than thought. For people with ommetaphobia, that response got wired in through experience, sometimes a single moment, more often a slow accumulation of moments where someone's gaze meant something was wrong, and over time the brain built a rule that it now applies everywhere. But the other thing we know, because psychologists have documented this clearly, is that the brain can update, it can build new associations, it can learn slowly that a person's direct gaze isn't a verdict, it's just contact, and contact can be safe. That's not a quick process, and it's not something you just push through by forcing yourself to stare at people until it stops being uncomfortable, but it is possible. And understanding where the fear came from is usually where that journey starts. Because the person who can't look you in the eyes isn't avoiding you, they're protecting something that got hurt a long time ago by a gaze that came with consequences. And if you're someone watching this who recognized yourself in any part of this video, you're not broken, you're not weird. Your brain learned something once, in a context where it made sense to learn it. The question is just whether that learning still serves you now. If this hit home for you, and if you want to support these deep dives, hit that subscribe button. I would genuinely appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.